Today, the beauty industry is obsessed with the glow. We spend billions of dollars every year on serums, chemical peels, and LED masks, all chasing this elusive idea of radiant, youthful skin. Advertisers love to use scientific buzzwords to sell us these miracles: peptides, hyaluronic acid, retinol. But what happens when the beauty industry gets its hands on a scientific discovery that it doesn't actually understand? In the early 1930s, advertisers promised women the ultimate glow-up. They claimed they had found the literal fountain of youth, a luxury face cream that would erase wrinkles, tighten the skin, and give you a complexion that practically lit up the room. And they weren't entirely lying about the lighting up part, because the secret ingredient inside this high-end, beautifully packaged French face cream was actual, literal radium. Welcome back to Let's Make It Interesting. Today we are unpacking the horrifying, glowing scam of Tho-Radia and how the beauty industry weaponized one of the deadliest elements on Earth just to sell women the promise of eternal youth. To understand how women were convinced to rub radioactive waste onto their faces, we have to look at the sheer marketing hysteria of the early 20th century. When Marie and Pierre Curie discovered radium in 1898, the world lost its mind. Radium was mysterious. It gave off a faint, ethereal, blue-green glow. More importantly, early medical tests showed that targeted radiation could shrink tumors. In the minds of 1920s and 30s advertisers, this meant one thing: radium was magic. If it could destroy cancer cells, surely it could destroy anything bad in the human body. It was branded as the ultimate life-giving elixir. Almost overnight, radium became the biggest marketing buzzword in the world. Corporations started putting it in everything. There was radium-infused drinking water to cure arthritis, radium chocolate bars, radium toothpaste to make your teeth shine. But the beauty industry saw the ultimate cash grab. Because what is the one thing women are constantly told is an incurable disease? Aging. In 1932, a French pharmacist named Alexis Moussaly wanted to create the ultimate luxury cosmetic line. But he knew that to charge a premium price, he couldn't just sell soap and lotion. He needed authority. He needed a doctor's endorsement to make women feel safe. So, he pulled off one of the most brilliant, manipulative marketing scams in beauty history. He found a physician named Dr. Alfred Curie. Now, was Dr. Alfred Curie related to Marie and Pierre Curie, the Nobel Prize-winning discoverers of radium? Absolutely not. He was a complete stranger who just happened to share the most famous last name in science. Moussaly essentially rented this man's name, slapped it on the packaging, and launched Tho-Radia. The marketing was wildly aggressive. Tho-Radia contained 0.5 gram of thorium chloride and 0.25 milligrams of radium bromide per 100 grams of cream. The advertisements promised that the radioactivity would stimulate cellular vitality, firm the facial tissues, cure acne, and stop the aging process in its tracks. And it was incredibly expensive. It was marketed exclusively to wealthy, elite women in Paris as the cutting edge of scientific beauty. Women flocked to pharmacies to buy the cream, the lipstick, the powder, and the soap. They were literally painting their lips with poison. Here's the part that makes this entire scam so deeply enraging. Tho-Radia launched in 1932. But by the late 1920s, years before this cream hit the shelves, the catastrophic dangers of radium were already becoming public knowledge. Across the ocean in the United States, the infamous Radium Girls were dying in agony. These were the working-class factory girls who painted glow-in-the-dark dials on watches using radium paint. They had been instructed to lick their paintbrushes to keep a fine point. By the time Tho-Radia was being sold as a luxury face cream, the Radium Girls' jaws were literally crumbling. Their bones were disintegrating. They were fighting highly publicized legal battles against the corporations that poisoned them. The science was already turning. The medical community knew radium was deadly. But the beauty industry didn't care. They relied on cognitive dissonance. They banked on the fact that wealthy consumers reading Vogue wouldn't connect the horrific factory deaths in America with the beautiful, expensive, doctor-endorsed jar of cream sitting on their vanity. Advertisers proved that if you make the packaging pretty enough and the promise of anti-aging strong enough, you can convince people to ignore the warning signs right in front of them. So how did it end? Did the FDA shut them down? Did Dr. Alfred Curie go to jail? Not exactly. As the death toll from radium products became impossible to ignore, the French government finally stepped in. In 1937, they passed strict regulations limiting the sale of products containing radioactive elements. You could no longer buy them over the counter. They required a legitimate medical prescription. But Tho-Radia didn't issue an apology. They didn't recall the products or warn the women who had been applying radioactive cream to their eyes and mouths for 5 years. Instead, they pulled off a quiet, cowardly corporate pivot. They completely removed the radium and thorium from the formula, but they kept the name Tho-Radia. They kept the branding. They just quietly transitioned into selling regular, boring face cream while pretending the radioactive era never happened. The brand eventually folded in the 1960s, fading into obscurity. The women who suffered the long-term effects of radiation exposure to their faces and necks were left to deal with the quiet, devastating fallout on their own. The Tho-Radia scam proves exactly how the beauty industry operates. They don't sell products. They sell the illusion of control over our own bodies. They hijacked a legitimate scientific discovery, stripped it of all safety, and weaponized it against women's fear of aging. Today, it isn't radium. But the next time a luxury brand tries to sell you a completely unregulated, scientifically complex, miracle ingredient in a beautiful jar, remember the glowing face cream of 1932. If you want to help expose more of these hidden corporate scams, hit the subscribe button, leave a like, and tell me in the comments what we should cover next. See you in the next one.